my family, tried to force me out of the house I bought, so my entitled sister could move in with her kids and husband. Buying my first home was supposed to be one of the happiest moments of my life. After years of scraping by, saving every penny I could, and navigating a sea of financial setbacks, I had finally done it. A modest three-bedroom house with a small backyard. It wasn't much, but it was mine. My sense of pride was immeasurable, but little did I know that pride would soon be put to the ultimate test by the people I least expected, my own family. Growing up, I always knew the deck was stacked against me in my household. My younger sister Emma was the golden child, doted on by our parents in every possible way. She was the one who got the extra attention, the encouragement, the financial support, everything that was so noticeably absent when it came to me. While I learned early on to fend for myself, Emma coasted through life, expecting everything to fall into her lap. And more often than not, it did. Emma married young to a man named Brian who, frankly, was as irresponsible as she was. Together, they had 3 kids in rapid succession, each more chaotic than the last. For years, they had been living rent-free at my parents' house. My parents justified this arrangement by saying they needed support because raising kids was hard. Meanwhile, I was out in the world, working my butt off to make ends meet. When I finally managed to buy my house, I felt like I'd climbed a mountain all on my own. It was a moment of triumph, a validation of my independence. When I posted about my new home on social media, it was meant to be a celebration. I uploaded pictures of the place and wrote a heartfelt caption about how hard I'd worked to get there. The likes and congratulations rolled in, but so did something I hadn't anticipated. An unexpected call from Emma. She gushed about how happy she was for me and then casually asked if she and her kids could come over to check out the new place. I didn't think much of it at the time and agreed, thinking it would be nice to catch up. The next day, Emma, Brian, and their 3 kids arrived. But they didn't just bring themselves, they brought moving boxes. As soon as they stepped out of the car, Brian started hauling boxes onto my porch like it was the most natural thing in the world. I stood there, utterly confused, as Emma flashed me a smile and said, "We figured we'd start moving in today since it's more convenient for everyone." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Wait, what? Moving in?" I asked, dumbfounded. Emma rolled her eyes like I was the one being unreasonable. "Come on, it just makes sense. You've got all this space and it's just you here. The kids would love it, and your backyard is perfect for them to play in. Plus, your house is closer to Brian's job." I was floored. "Emma, this is my house. I didn't buy it so you could move in." She sighed dramatically. "It's just temporary. You've got 3 bedrooms and you're not even using 2 of them. Why can't you help your family out? It's not like you'll even notice we're here." Brian chimed in, setting down another box. "It'll be fine. We'll pay you rent or something." The audacity of it all left me speechless. "No," I finally managed to say, my voice firm. "This is my home. I bought it for myself. You can't just decide to move in without asking." Emma's expression shifted to one of hurt, and her voice wavered as she said, "You're my sister. How can you be so selfish? Mom and Dad always said you were cold-hearted, but I didn't believe them until now." That was the first blow. Hearing her repeat something I'd long suspected my parents thought of me was like a punch to the gut. But I wasn't about to let guilt manipulate me. Being family doesn't mean you can bulldoze your way into my life and take what's mine. You've been living with Mom and Dad rent-free for years. Maybe it's time you figured things out on your own. Emma's face turned red, and Brian muttered something under his breath about how I'd regret this. They packed up their boxes and left, but not before Emma dramatically declared, "You'll see. Family is supposed to be there for each other, but I guess you only care about yourself." I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days later, my mom called. She didn't waste any time before launching into a tirade. "How could you turn your sister away like that? She's your family, and those kids need a stable home." "Mom," I said, already exhausted. "They're living with you. They already have a home." "That's not the point," she snapped. "You have a house all to yourself, and you're not even using all the space. Why can't you let them stay until they get back on their feet?" "Because it's not my responsibility to fix their problems," I replied, my voice shaking. "I worked hard for this house. I'm not giving it up." Mom accused me of being selfish, ungrateful, and even jealous of Emma's family. The conversation ended with her saying, "I hope you can live with yourself after tearing this family apart." I didn't think things could escalate further, but then the unthinkable happened. A week later, I came home from work to find a moving truck in my driveway. Emma and Brian were unloading furniture into my house. My front door lock was broken, and they had replaced it with their own. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted as I ran up the driveway. Emma smiled as if she was doing me a favor. "We decided to move in. You'll come around eventually, and this way, we don't have to keep going back and forth." I was shaking with rage. "Get out of my house, now," Brian smirked. "Relax. We'll pay you rent." "You broke into my house," I yelled. "This is illegal." Emma's face hardened. "We're family. You're seriously going to call the cops on your own sister?" "Yes," I said, pulling out my phone. "I absolutely am." When the police arrived, Emma and Brian tried to spin a story about how they had my permission to move in. They even produced a fake rental agreement, complete with a forged signature. But when I showed the police my ID, title, and the broken lock, their lies unraveled. The officers gave them a choice: leave immediately or face charges for trespassing and property damage. Emma sobbed hysterically as Brian muttered curses under his breath, but they packed up and left. My parents showed up soon after to berate me, accusing me of being a horrible sister and tearing the family apart. But I stood firm. In the weeks that followed, I changed the locks, installed security cameras, and went low contact with my family. My parents still try to guilt me into letting Emma move in, but I've stopped answering their calls. I've realized that standing up for myself doesn't make me selfish. It makes me strong. Family or not, I won't let anyone take away what I've worked so hard to build.